Today's edition of Stage Door here on the Friday edition of The Source. I'm Tiffany Bacon. Thank you so much for being here. Always appreciate your presence. As usual, I have my dear friend and co-host to the show, Mr. Jefery Page. Hey, Jefery, how you doing?
Hey, what's happening, Miss Tiffany Bacon? What's going on with you?
I am breathing on schedule. You know, today was our final Neighborhood Love, Summer of Freedom Neighborhood Love Tour live broadcast. And it was great to be out in the community. But we have a really high-powered conversation that's happening right now that we're going to get right to because it's very timely. There is a concert coming up next Friday, the day after Founders Day for us. You know, we have our Founders Day next Thursday on the 26th, but this concert is next Friday, August 27th. It is a concert to focus on mental health. Here to tell us a little bit more about the concert, we have the founder of the National Community Education Training Services Program, where they focus on mental health, Stephen Williams. And we have the one and only Philly Freeway, who is going to perform at the show. Gentlemen, welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us.
Absolutely. I got to run right over to Freeway first. Freeway, first and foremost, how are you doing?
God is good. You know, I'm taking it one day at a time. You know, another day above ground is wonderful.
Amen on that. I have to ask, why is it important for you to do this concert about this subject next week?
Because health in general, you know, in September 2015, I was diagnosed with end-stage renal failure. I received my kidney transplant February 2019. You know, it was a huge fight, you know, but God is good. And by the grace of God, I'm on the other side of it. And, you know, dealing with those issues, you know, affected me mentally. You know, 2020, I lost my son. You know, right now my daughter's fighting cancer. So, you know, it's a lot of strain on me mentally. But what I was originally saying, like, a lot of people don't look at mental health issues as a health issue, and it really is a health issue, and it really is something that needs to be addressed. So whenever I can lend my voice to help bring more awareness to it, I'm there.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Jefery, did you have a question for Freeway?
Yeah, I'm super curious about when did you, how long have you been interested in mental health? Has it been because of the issues that you've been having, or has it preceded that?
I was always aware of the issue in our communities. I was always aware of the issue in our community, but you know, when I myself started going through it, you know, of course, it brought way more attention to me, to my family, and you know, that's why I'm here. You know, I'm here lending my voice. It affects. I had people in my family that had mental health issues, and I had people in my family that's still dealing with mental health issues. You know, so it affects me directly. It affects our community, and it's something that needs to be addressed.
Have you thought about how your art speaks to it or lends a hand to it? Has it changed you?
Most definitely, especially recently. Like, you know, I'm ready to release a new project, and you know, throughout my whole career, I've been a reality rapper. I rapped about things that I've been through and things that I see, and you know, it's a huge part of my life right now. So naturally, it comes out into the music.
That's pretty amazing. I appreciate that, and I'm sorry to hear about your children, and I'm praying for your daughter. I'm sure she'll get through it.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, and thank you so much for that. There's a lot of folks from Philly that just want to send you love because of everything that you have meant to them, the music that you've put out, so much you have done. It's been an anthem for a lot of folks. And how does that make you feel to know that you've been in the game for this long and folks are still like, yo, your music is straight up an anthem. You rep Philly hard, and we love you for it. How does that make you feel?
I mean, it feels great. It feels amazing. I remember when no one cared about anything that came out of my mouth, you know, so it's definitely amazing. You know, when you put your heart into something and you work hard on it, and then you see the results, you see people love it, and it touches people's hearts. It's a great feeling.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
absolutely.
it's interesting because it would seem like you being in the game, you being in this music business would either help or hinder your work, the work that you're doing now with mental health, because there's so many games that happen in this game. And I'm just curious to know, how are you affected by the music industry and by being in the hustle of it all? Have you found a way to kind of find some form of self-help?
Yeah, I basically stay grounded with prayer. You know, I'm Muslim. I pray 5 times a day, and you know, just having a good relationship with God helps me through everything. It helps me through a lot, man. I tell you, man, just having a relationship with God, knowing you can give it all to God is an amazing feeling, and it got me through everything. You know, when I was diagnosed with kidney failure, first thing I did before I was diagnosed, when I got the call from the doctor, I went straight to the man shit. I prayed, I asked God to help me deal with the situation. And then when I was diagnosed, I put it all in God's hands, and I fought, and you know, I'm on the other side of it right now.
Awesome. I'm so glad to hear that. Go ahead, Tiffany.
Absolutely. No, I was going to say the same thing. You know, we're going to pray for your continued recovery, continued health. Also pray for your daughter as well. Pray for your whole family as it relates to what happened to your son last year. I'd like to bring Stephen into the conversation because it's important to hear from you about why you founded an organization to help folks deal with mental health issues. Tell us why you did it.
Thank you so much for asking that question. I've been on the more of the recipient end of mental health, working in the fire and emergency services for about 30 years collectively, and also being in the military. You know, there are some things that affect the mind, of course. You know, and it hasn't been talked about. There's a huge veil around mental health titled a stigma, which needs to be unveiled and removed so people can really have the opportunity to set the platform so this conversation can start. So with talented individuals like Philly Freeway and these artists that are coming about and talking about mental health, you know, you have some unsung heroes that are in a community, in addition to these great artists, like your firefighters, like your police officers, and like some of the other frontline workers, from, you know, your dietitians to your phlebotomists to your nurses. And this COVID-19 event has done a lot to them. And it's great to be able to listen to these great artists, to help them to have some sort of solace in their mind. So that was one of the reasons why I thought that this was very well needed in the community.
Awesome. Jefery, you have a question?
Yeah, I'm first of all, thank you for your work. I'm looking through your website, and I'm super impressed about everything that you're doing. I would imagine that there's a lot that goes on with respect to military and service workers, about mental health and the stigma that's attached to mental health. Can you talk more about that? I know you kind of glazed over that for a second. Can you talk more about that?
Sure. You think of what a stigma is. A stigma is almost like a scab. You know, it covers over a process or an elemental process that prevents people from breathing, having the ability to communicate. In this case, this stigma, this scab, has to be removed. It's going to hurt. It's not going to feel good for some people, but for some people, it will give them enough breathing room for them to grow. You know, and so when you look at all the things that your doctors have gone through, your nurses, your firefighters, as an example, one of my last duty stations was down at the Air Force Reserve Base down in Homestead, Florida. And we helped to facilitate and help to train the USAR team, the guys who responded to Haiti just recently, the Virginia crew. We had 7 or 8 teams down in Florida during that structure collapse. One of the guys who was on the team found his daughter in the building. So you see the type of things that evolve in the minds of some of these frontline workers, and they don't really want to talk about it because they have this bravado that needs to be in the form of a stigma that needs to be detached from them.
Wow.
Can you, I'm sorry, that's, that really sits with me, because just before the broadcast, I was talking about how much people are going through right now. And it just seems unprecedented that it's just like a barrage of tragedy, a barrage of stuff, whether it's the loss of a loved one due to them passing, or if they're sick, or just the loss of income because of COVID and all of that, and how all of that is a weight on everybody. And it seems like folks are really at odds with each other right now. You're hearing about friendships that are like 30 and 40 years old breaking up, relationships that have been solid for years breaking up. People are more agitated. Freeway, before I go back to you, Stephen, Freeway, can you talk about, if you're sensing that right now? Are you hearing that reflected in conversations in the rooms that you're in? And is there any talk about, how to find that relief, how to ease that at all?
I mean, it is a talk amongst some people, but a lot of people, don't even really know how to address the issue, so that's why doing things like what we're doing on the 27th and, whatever ways we can bring awareness to it is definitely needed, because there's a lot of people running around that have issues, mental health issues, and don't even know, they're not even aware of it, so it's something that definitely need to be addressed.
Yeah, absolutely. Stephen, what do you think?
He put it so eloquently. I tell you, you look at some of the ancient writings, and you look at some of the prophetic writings. When you think about one prophetic writing, there was a poet who said that we were not even to have the ability to direct our own step without a higher power, without God. So you have us down here running around trying to correct ourselves and fix ourselves. But, not only do we need to come together in unity, we need to really think about our spirituality, So that's, for me, that is one of the most important elements that we can bring in addition to everything else that we're doing.
Right now it seems to be, for lack of a better word, it feels like a trend. The self-health or mindfulness thing that we're going through. I actually feel like that we should have been more attuned to it for a very, very long time. What do you think brought that about? This trend of mindfulness practice. I know Resmaa Menakem, who is an author, wrote a book called My Grandmother's Hands, and there's a book called The Body Keeps the Score that talks about mindfulness practice and how the body actually is a receptacle for what's happening on the mind. What do you think is happening in our society right now that we have become attuned to the needs of mental health issues?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, again, I love to take things in layers. And then when you look at things from a higher perspective, again, we were all brought along by three major elements. You have, the body itself, you have the creator, but he created us with a force, a force that we all need to live by. And so when that force is not exercised, that connection between us and our creator, there's going to be problems. I mean, prophecy lays it out. It says that there's going to be problems and challenges across the board. And see that disunity and dysfunction, living in a world that's so out of control, things are going to become increasingly more challenging. So again, that connection with our our holy God, our spirit. For me, that's the most important thing.
That's cool. And it's interesting because in Dr. Basil's book, he talks about ducks fighting, and he says when a duck finishes fighting, typically what they do is they flap their wings very vigorously in order to release that energy. And he said the problem with us humans is we never find a way to release the energy, so we end up holding all of this stuff inside of our bodies. And he says that's one of the things that would cause us to go through traumatic experiences and stresses. How do you find that? Do you see any sense in that?
Oh, for sure. You have, as an example, you look at some of the nurses and the doctors and how they respond. Even though they're not on the field, the energy of the accident and the problems that they have and the problems that are brought to them, it's like a domino effect. How does one feel when you hear someone screaming at the top of their voice? It sends chills through you, and you automatically want to help. So that theory that was brought up by the individual of the book that you were discussing, I can see that, and that's why, the power of communication and talk and touch is so important. You have music like Mr. Freeway, the way he can, such a lyricist, he can bring some music about and make people happy. It's another form of energy that we can receive. So I just think all this is a necessary element for us to get around some of the things that are happening to us.
And Freeway, do you feel like with your music that it's a source of energy being released in a healthy way?
Most definitely, both ways. I'm a reality rapper, so I rap about things I see, things I've been through. And the reason why my music relates, because there's a lot of people that have been through and see a lot of the same things. So it's a relief for them, and it's also a relief for me when I'm able to tell my story and put my pain into my music. It's definitely a relief on both sides, and it's a blessing.
I love it. I love it. Often on this segment and on this show, we talk about how art has saved many people's lives. If it wasn't for the expression of music or dance or painting or whatever type of artistic expression you have, some folks definitely wouldn't have made it. Would you say that is true for you, that art saved your life?
Most definitely. In '99, I got arrested for possession with attempted delivery. And when I was in jail, I told myself I never want to go through this again. I never want to be in a position where people tell me when to eat, when to sleep, when to get up. So I already had talent, and I was focused on music. And then when I came out, I was blessed enough to link with Beanie Siegel, Jay-Z. I had opportunities. That's why I feel like it's very important for a lot of these re-entry programs that's going on for people that's coming home, because that was my re-entry. That was actually something that kept my mind focused and kept me from wanting to go back to the streets. And it saved my life. My talent saved my life. I've been living off of music and other forms of income that stem from the music since then, and able to take care of my family and live a successful life. And it's a blessing, man. And it's all from something that I wanted to do. When I was young, it was two things that I wanted to do when they asked me in school what you want to be. And it was an airline pilot and a rap star. Now that I'm a rap star, I fly just as much as an airline pilot. And I'm thinking about taking some lessons too. So
hey, that's what I'm talking about. You better go ahead. I would love to see that for you. Really quick, a little bit off subject, but not really. Since I have you on the line, I just have to ask you. There's a lot of talk lately, especially on this show. We've been reminiscing about this beautiful movement in Philly between 1995 and 2005. It was a magical time for music in Philly. Like, you literally could go anywhere, Sunday to Saturday. somewhere something was popping in Philly, and we spent a lot
Music,
of time.
sports, everything.
Music, sport, everything. Like
Like when
Philly
Beanie
was
Siegel
popping.
came out, and AI, and Donovan McNabb, and
Yeah.
then came Michael Vick. It was a great time for Philly.
Yes,
You know, it was beautiful. We're
yes,
trying to continue the legacy. You know.
yes. Please share with us just your take on that moment, because you guys were doing your thing. The neo soul movement was cranking up
Yeah,
heavy. Did you have any recollection or interaction with anybody, whether it was the Roots crew or Jill or music or
definitely.
anybody?
When I was trying to get on, I have a friend named Miles that I went to school with, and he's Chaos' brother. Chaos is a producer that I produced with the Roots. So I used to be around them all the time when they was recording in South Philly with Black Thought and Mary and the rest of the fellas. So I had relationships with them. I had relationships with Bahamadia. A lot of the Hand Soul. I used to do songs with him back in the day. I had a deep rooted relationship with Philadelphia history when I was coming up, and I think that's part of the reasons why I'm such a dope artist. Because I took all of that in, and that's all a part of the MC that I am now, and it's a blessing.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. I got to take a break, but I had to ask you that because we can't talk about modern Philly music history without adding all of that in. And those who aren't from here, who didn't live here during that time, wouldn't even know the connection between you and the Roots or Jill or anybody else. And it's important to state that because that talent, that
Oh
love,
yeah, shout
that
out Jill
grit,
too. I love Jill.
gotta shout out Jill.
I love Jill. Like you see the heart, my heart beating on
Yes.
my heart.
Much love to Illy Jilly from Philly, representing North, as of course. All right, we got to take a break. When we come back, we're going to have more conversation with our special guests about mental health and about good Philly music right after this. And welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. It's the Friday edition of The Source, and we call this segment at 12 noon Stage Door. My very, very special, not guest, he is my co-host, and my very special friend is joining us, Mr. Jefery Page. Hey, Jefery. And also we have Stephen Williams, the founder of NCETS, joining us, as well as Philly Freeway. We are talking about an event that is coming up next Friday, August 27th. It is called Love on the Line. It is a concert for mental health, awareness for mental health. Billy Freeway is on the bill. He will be in performance next week. And if you were at the Neighborhood Love Tour earlier today, we were giving away tickets. We'll also have some other tickets on Founders Day. So make sure you join us for Founders Day next Thursday. We'll have some tickets to give away for this event as well. Freeway, I know we don't have you. We're losing Freeway signal. Hopefully he can log back on. I know we won't have him for that much longer, but I wanted to ask you, Stephen, we were talking, Freeway and we were just talking about, the Philly music scene and how music saved his life. What is the part that music plays in your life? Oh, and you're muted.
I appreciate you asking me that. I grew up in a musical family. My mom, she was a singer all her life that I've known her. And, my dad played instruments, with some, well-known artists when they came into Pittsburgh. My mother too. My uncle played guitar. So I've been around music my whole life, and then everything I do, even when some of the guys used to come in my office at the fire station, they had some nice music on, and it really helped me to just keep a perspective that I needed to keep floating that day. So I said, hey, if it works for me, it might work for a group of people, So that's the way that came about, being around some good musicians, good music. I mean, as you can see, I don't play any instruments, but I love when people come over here and play, for us, as a family. So that's how that came about.
Fantastic. Jefery.
I was curious. When we first got on the line, we were talking about the surge in violence, in violent crimes happening in Philadelphia. I don't know if the same thing is happening in Pittsburgh right now, Stephen. But I'm curious. I'm curious because the conversation that we're having right now is making me wonder how many of those young people might be actually suffering from some form of deep immovable trauma that they haven't had the skills to address in some kind of way. And I wanted to get your thoughts on that, Stephen.
Now I live in Miami full time. I come up here a lot. We have a company here that we facilitate for those who have real serious mental health diseases. We've been blessed enough to have about 10 individuals that we put into separate homes and allow them to have their freedoms and access to community events and et cetera. And a lot of them, I tell you, started off as being kids, and the stories are unbelievable as kids. Now, just yesterday, I live right downtown Pittsburgh. There was a screening match right across the street here. It was a young guy. It was really bad, and I felt sorry for him. And the only thing that you can do in cases like that, unfortunately, right now, is call the authorities. And unfortunately, even as a responder to these events, the authorities are, in some cases, not really qualified to respond and even act upon some of these episodes that these individuals have. So it's an issue. It's a nationwide problem. Even as us as a nonprofit, we're coming up with programs to try to mitigate that.
And that's what I was going to ask you also is when you say call the authorities, in most cases, at least in the recent news reports that we've heard, the authorities actually escalate the situation into something that's worse.
Yes.
So what do you do? What's the proper way to help is it really to call the authorities, or you know, because if I had children myself, that would scare the death out of me. I wouldn't know what to do.
So we're facilitating a training program, and thank you for asking me that. Right now, we're piloting a program up here in the Verona area of Pennsylvania. It's going to be more of a mental health advocacy program with mental health ambassadors. They're going to be a third-party agency or organization that will be able to respond to these challenges of these individuals and know how to de-escalate, and also to remove them from the environment temporarily and place them in a separate facility, you know, to help them to cope with the challenges they're going through. Because I tell you, you know, there's a large percentage of people out here that have these mental health problems, and they're becoming more prevalent in them because of the environment that they're in. You know, so it's very important. As soon as the authorities show up, I know when I used to respond, just with the uniform alone, it would inflict some sort of stigma, you know. So that's just something that I think is very important.
And when we talk about stigma, let's really pick that apart some more, because there's a lot of people who won't even check off on an application or a form that this is something that they're dealing with, if it's depression or what have you, anxiety even, because they don't want to be labeled. What has to happen to destigmatize mental health issues, and for people to really understand the levels? Because I think mostly the catchphrase that folks use when someone is having a mental health issue is to call them crazy. Yeah. Oh, she crazy. Look at us. See, I told you she crazy. You know, and it's not loving. It's not caring. It's not even concerning. It's more dismissing, labeling, and putting the person on the shelf and away from them, thinking that anyone who has depression or anything like that is going to be a danger to other people. What has to happen to destigmatize someone if they are having a mental health issue?
Well, I know just by training and being around individuals as A-type personality and a fire emergency services, also in the military, quasi-military organizations, you know, there's a certain mindset that comes along with that. And the reason why I say this is because, you know, it takes a culture change. And typically when you have a mass group of people, it can, 100 people or less can take 5 years, you know, under strict supervision to help to facilitate that culture change. So again, we have to learn how to not use these I guess these epithets, these things that are said like, oh yeah, she's crazy, or, you know, that person is, you know, things that I don't even like to even say, because I deal with people like that. It can be hurtful. And those are the types of things that we need to kind of hold back and really assess the person and the challenges that they may be going through at that particular time.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. I would say to normalize it, right? Like to normalize it would seem the way to go. If you know, we all believe ourselves to want to be unique and different and stand out, but I actually don't think that's the case. I think that we want to be normal, and we want to fit into a tribe that is normal. We want to fit into a sisterhood and a brotherhood that is viewed by society as normal. So when we look at mental health issues, and when we look at the LGBT community and other marginalized communities, and part of the problem is these communities are seen to be not or a normal, you know, and so my guess would be is to normalize it. That's kind of the reason why DaBaby got in such a big mess of trouble, because he put something out there and he further alienated a group of people, you know. So So my thought would be to normalize it. Wouldn't you say, Stephen, or would you think differently?
No, that's great because it's a culture change. Just think of when we were younger and we accumulated a certain amount of time off or sick leave or paid time off. And we go to our supervisor and we ask, can we use it because we don't feel good? I mean, and you have somebody behind you that you work with, and they'll just be like, man, he's faking it. He's all right. See, again, it's the type of attitude that people have to have in order to normalize something to get well. And I love that. That's a very good way of. I mean, look at some of the athletes in the athletic world. Look at what happened over the Olympics. Look at Michael Phelps. Look at all these individuals who've been talking about mental health for such a long time, and it needs to be normalized.
Awesome. Awesome. I want to take a moment to bring somebody else into the conversation, someone whom we love. We love his music, and he is going to perform and be in attendance at the Love on the Line event, which is happening next Friday, August 27th. I am bringing into the conversation Mr. Chub Rock. Hey, Chub Rock, how are you?
Hey, how are you? How are you? How's everybody?
We are good. We are breathing on schedule. Thank you so much for being here. First and foremost, tell us why it's important for you to perform and attend an event such as this that focuses on bringing awareness to mental health.
Well, it's an ongoing situation that is always ignored, especially here in America, obviously. There is a need for a little more awareness for people to stop thinking that this is a taboo discussion, and to understand that, especially now during the pandemic and all the anxiety and depression and other emotions that happen during this depression, during the pandemic, it just brings this situation more to the forefront, and it's about time for people to stop hiding behind it. And our unfortunate politicians for years and years and years use it as just a buzzword every now and then when there's a mass shooting or something like that, and but they don't really dive in. There aren't really a lot of resources. And so it's a very important situation that we, have the discussion, whatever we can do to bring a little more awareness. And if music can help do that, then so be it.
So Mr. Chub Rock, it's very good to meet you, sir. Me and Stephen, we were just speaking about how to change culture, and to possibly begin to normalize some of these stigmatisms, to begin to normalize these ways that society has alienated marginalized communities. How do you feel with that? How do you feel about is it possible for us to normalize mental health? Is it possible for us to normalize it to a place where it's actually healthy and regular and normal for people to speak up and say when they are feeling what they feel? Or does it turn the society on its head, a society that is overly sensitive, a society that is a bit too timid to step flat-footed and forward? Like, how do you feel about that with respect to normalizing these alienating factors?
Well, the reality to it is it's a normal situation. It is part of our fabric like anything else. Now, if for any reason you believe that because you're having this discussion, this kind of discussion, that it makes you either weak or vulnerable or any of those types of things, the taboo type of thing, becomes more and more ridiculous because mental health hits people and other families just like cancer hits other families. And for a long time, that used to be taboo too. You know, people never talked about when they were going through different kinds of sickness. When it came to cancer, or when it came to anything else, when it came to lupus, when it came to autism, for many years, for generations, people kept that under wraps. It's only now, because once the numbers become bigger and bigger, and they realize, wait a second, why are we hiding this? Why aren't we shouting this from the rooftops? Then you see, slowly but surely, people don't look at autism like this taboo situation. It happens in any family just like any other thing. So mental health is just the last on the totem pole. It's like one of the last taboos, and where people have to realize there's nothing to be ashamed of here. This is a part of life. And the more we talk about it and invest in it and are not scared of it, the more we can help in this lane. Because saying, well, let's normalize it, the reality to it is people are going through this regardless. U.S. presidents have gone through it. Kings and queens have gone through it. So you can hide it because it is normal. It happened. It is what it is. It's whether or not you want to then realize and stop thinking that it's some stigmatism that's not going to allow you to get a job. It's something that, you have to realize it's part of the fabric of the planet, not even America, but, the planet. And the more we talk about it, the more we have an ease of talking about it, the more we're able to help each other with this, through this, and stuff like that.
Tiffany, you're on mute.
Thank you, because we're still doing that. Chub Rock, thank you for that. We have to go to break. When we come back, we will continue our conversation with Chub Rock and with Stephen Williams about the Love on the Line concert, a concert for the awareness of mental health. It is happening next Friday. Stick around. We'll be right back with more conversation after this. And welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. We are in the final segment of today's edition of Stage Door. My co-host, Mr. Jefery Page. Also, we are joined by the one and only Chub Rock and Stephen Williams of NCETS, the National Community Education and Training Services Program. Gentlemen, thank you all so much for being here. I know we don't have that much time. Please tell us what we can expect on Friday. I'm going to start with Chub Rock. You have classic jams. I know we can't wait to hear them. Are we going to hear all the classic jams? What are we going to hear next Friday? Oh, you're muted. That's like the phrase
Well,
of the 2020s.
Philadelphia is like a second home to me. So, whenever we're in town, we're doing, everything. Chubster, Caught Up, just the two of us, Treat Them Right, Brooklyn Dodgers, things of that nature. So it's always gonna be an old school party when I'm there, and we've been rocking in Philadelphia for 30 years now. So we have no problem having an old school party with our Philadelphian brothers and sisters. So it's gonna be nice, man. It's gonna always be nice when we're in Philly.
I love it. Can't wait, can't wait, can't wait. Why are you looking forward to next week's concert, Stephen?
Well, first of all, I can't even believe I can look over to the right, and just see Chub Rock. I mean, that's just blowing my mind. And you have artists like Chub Rock and some of these individuals who are so willing and able to talk about mental health to individuals. I mean, this is a win-win. I mean, just like he said, we're ready to party for a purpose, and see Philadelphia, here we are. Let's help to just remove the stigma with mental health. This can be the first of an annual event that we can have. We can grow on it. So thank you again, Chub. I really appreciate you doing this, my brother, I tell you. And thank you all.
Oh, yeah, we got that.
We're going to have a good time. We're going to have a good time, party with a purpose. So I'm excited about it.
Awesome. Jefery.
I'm just excited. I look. I'm in Harlem right now trying to figure out how I'm gonna get to Philly. I've been saying that for the last couple of days now.
Let's talk about it. We just had Freeway on a little while ago, and we were talking about Philly had a couple of musical heydays, and the most recent one was about 1995 to about 2005. Can you share with us any memories that you have of coming to Philly and what the vibe was like right at that time as you were touring and coming back and forth?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I've had great vibes with Philadelphia from the 80s, all the way to now. To the beginning of the pandemic, I should say. I know in the 90s is the time when people really said that was somewhat of the golden era of hip hop. But I've had a great experience in Philadelphia from the beginning. I got plenty of friends down there. Lady B and all the stuff we've done in the city. My boy Nakia Dillard and all the incredible shows I've been a part of in the city, classic hip hop and everything else. So it's going to be nice. And it's incredible that Freeway is going to be there. I'm a fan of his music, and I'm glad he's doing well. And so every time I'm not eating like that anymore. The Philly cheesesteak time when I was going crazy with that, but we'll find some other healthy things to chow on down there. And my boy Charlie Mack and all of my other friends down there in Philadelphia. So we're gonna have a good time, man. I'm always excited, and this will be my first time back in Philadelphia since the pandemic. Because usually we would do Philadelphia maybe every 3 months, every 4 months. But this is the first time in 2 years. It's been quite some time. So it'll be like coming back home and seeing your friends again since the pandemic. So I'm excited about it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Jefery, before we go.
What city are you? I just had a simple question. What city are you in right now, Chub Rock?
Well, I'm from Brooklyn, but I'm in Atlanta now. I moved to Atlanta to do radio back in 2012, and I'm still here.
Gotcha.
Love it. It's exciting, but when I lived in Brooklyn, from Brooklyn, obviously Philly was just 2 hours away, so that's why we were always in Philly for anything. But coming back is going to be great.
Awesome. Stephen, what is it that you would like for us to know? I know your organization, NCETS, based out of Pittsburgh, but how can folks in Philly participate or find out more information on the services you provide?
Yes, we have our website, which is up at ncets.org. We can find information about our programs. We're still developing some of the programs we're trying to introduce into the community. And if you would like to donate also to our cause, which is community-based mental health awareness and some other programs, the donation segment is there. And again, we're a very progressive nonprofit organization, which gives us the ability to be able to nudge into and really grab onto some of these programs that really help people in the areas that they serve, whether doctors or professionals or even the average layperson that's going through, just as Chub Rock brought out, how pervasive mental health is. So yes, at ncets.org, you can grab the information that's needed there.
Fantastic. Just for the folks to remember, this concert is called Love on the Line. It is happening next Friday, August 27th. It is the day after Founders Day. So, we are honoring the life and legacy of our founder here at WURD, Walter P. Lomax Jr., MD. We have a whole day of amazing programming next Thursday, the 26th. We have a street naming ceremony. We're also going to be honoring for the first time 5 community organizations that represent the life and legacy of Dr. Walter P. Lomax Jr. And we will reveal those names. Perhaps you've heard the promos where we're celebrating the folks who are receiving those awards. But we want you to check out Love on the Line. We will be giving away tickets at Founders Day. So if you can, come on out to the street naming ceremony. Also, we will be giving tickets away throughout next week, so you can join us for the show. Cameron, Freeway, Maya, Mr. Cheeks, and Chub Rock, just to name a few of the folks who will be on the bill. Everybody, thank you so much for joining me today. I truly appreciate you. Please share real quick before we leave your social media handle so folks can follow you. Let's start with Chub Rock.
You can follow me at Chub Live, CHBBLIVE on Instagram, and Chub Rock Show on Instagram and Facebook.
Fabulous. Stephen.
Yes, you can find us on ncets.org. That's our website. And you can also on Instagram, NCETS. You type that in, you'll see us there. Facebook, the same thing. Anything that you would like to know about us, our information is right there. And we're starting to compile more information as we grow for the communities.
Fantastic. And Jefery, you are doing something with PTC, our sponsor. Please tell folks real quick how they can find out more about what you're doing with Philadelphia Theater Company.
Oh, so I've mentioned this a billion times before. I'm directing Choir Boy, which is going to be in January, in the January slot. So soon as we get more information, I'll definitely let y'all know.
And with that, we have to go. Thank you guys so much for being here. Much love to my super producer, Miss Kayla J. We appreciate you. Have a peaceful, positive, and productive week. Brother Shamari is next. Bye-bye.
Stay well.
Thank you.